So last week we discussed some of the tactics the inner worlds could use to beat the Free Navy within the Expanse. Well, I figured today we could even things out and discuss some of the tactics the Free Navy could use to be a real pain to the inner powers. I'm Colin, and this is Sci-Fi Deep Dive. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, to head down below and hit that subscribe button. Before we continue, I'd like to throw out there that this video will contain spoilers for the first 3 episodes of Season 6 of The Expanse. If you haven't seen those episodes yet, I'll leave a link up here to a spoiler-free video you can watch instead. So as I mentioned, last week we discussed some of the tactics that the UN and the Martians could use to defeat Marco's Free Navy. And it's no secret, as I've said in those videos, I really don't think the Free Navy has a chance at actually winning this war without some sort of crazy Hail Mary. But, that being said, there are definitely tactics the Free Navy could use to really be a pain to the inner planets for as long as this conflict goes on. So, today we're going to focus less on actually winning a war and more on some of the interesting guerrilla tactics that Marco could use in his ongoing fight against the inner planets. So let's start with some of the tactics we actually saw him use during last week's episode on Ceres. Actually, the move he played on Ceres is kind of genius. Starving Ceres of its bare necessities, yes, does make him a little bit of a pariah within many societies amongst the Belters, but it puts the UN and Mars in very tricky spots. They have recently moved in and occupied Ceres. This means that they are now responsible for maintaining the infrastructure there and really responsible for the lives of the people on Ceres Station. And their entire food, water, and life support system is basically gone, putting the pressure on the UN and Mars to provide humanitarian aid, which is going to stretch their supply lines relatively thin. Especially with Earth dealing with the aftermath of the catastrophes that Marco unleashed on that planet with his stealthy asteroids. So this puts particularly the UN in a very tight spot. They have to choose between shipping resources back home, where their own people are struggling in the aftermath of Marco's attacks, and sending them to the Belt, where they could be used to sort of sway the hearts and minds of the people out there into supporting UN and Martian efforts as opposed to Marco's Free Navy. Which brings me to his fleet. Now, we did see Marco actually lose a battle in this episode. His command fleet has actually taken some pretty significant damage, but they're not down for the count, and Marco still has a vast fleet of other Belter factions supporting him. So what exactly could these warships be used for? Well, for anyone who's seen my video on tactics utilized by the Rebel Alliance from Star Wars, which I'll link up here, then you should be pretty familiar with the kind of tactics Marco's going to have to use. Hit-and-run tactics, utilizing small skiffs and light, fast attack craft to do damage and then withdraw quickly. These hit-and-run attacks can be devastating, particularly on unarmed convoys, which would make up most of the UN's supply lines at this point. But there's the problem, is these hit-and-run attacks will likely destroy or disrupt the convoys going to Ceres, which is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it makes it harder for the UN to maintain their commitments to the people of their occupied Belt territories, but on the other hand, it makes life harder for the people on Ceres, which would inevitably end up being linked back to Marco. Now, some of the things said by Marco lead me to believe he might not care that much about the people of Ceres and may be willing to sacrifice them for the cause. But I do think it wouldn't go very far for winning the hearts and minds of the rest of the Belt to sort of throw Ceres to the lions. And there's one more thing I think we need to talk about. And it's whatever that was at the very end of the episode. Now, I'm sure some people who've read the books will chime in with exactly what that thing is, but as someone who was watching the show before they read the books, I have no idea. It is clearly something Marco believes will be his Hail Mary that will win the war for his faction, but what it is and what it'll do are still a complete mystery to most of us. In fact, I think whatever he's got there has to be something so terrible and exotic that it would have to completely flip the strategic situation on its head, because right now things are looking pretty bleak for the Free Navy. With the rocks no longer hitting Earth, and Mars and the UN now free to sort of sweep Marco out of the Belt, and with Ceres in the hands of the UN, it puts Marco's faction sort of in hot water. So whatever that thing is, it's probably the only hope Marco's faction has. Now, if you want to learn a little bit about some of the tactics the other side could use, some of the things we could see the UN carrying out during this conflict, I'll leave a link up here to my video from last week on that. And I want you to let me know down in the comments what you would do if you were in the Free Navy's position. How would you carry out a guerrilla war like this? Do you think there's any chance that they could win at all, or do you think Marco should just call it quits now? And if you have anything else you'd like to see me cover in The Expanse, leave it down below in the comments. Last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.